Welcome to the Foodie Lounge, present to you by IndiaIntracts.com and Suleka.com. Myself, Levin Johnson, and I've got Arjun here to assist me here. Today's recipe is going to be Kachi Gosht ki Biryani. So I'm just quickly going to run through because it is a very typical dish that comes from Hyderabad, and you might need quite a bit of prep because that's how it's authentically made back home. So I'm just going to run through these ingredients really quick. We would need 100 grams of mutton cubes. These cubes have to be evenly cut. These are with bone on, so you got to be a bit more careful about the size of it as well so that it gets evenly cooked. For this recipe, you definitely would need the bones on, so do not make it with boneless. Sliced onions here, 30 grams. Basmati rice, 80 grams. Red chili powder, 30 grams. Coriander powder, 15 grams. Yogurt, 20 grams. Ginger garlic paste, 10 grams. Javitri, 4 grams. Coriander leaves, chopped up, 10 grams. Mint leaves, 8 grams. 5 to 10 ml of lemon juice. 4 grams of kesar powder. 2 grams of cinnamon sticks, 2 grams of cardamom, 2 grams of cloves, 40 ml of refined oil, atta or maida, this is to make the dough to seal the container. You might need around 100 grams, and charcoal, another 30 grams per portion. What other things you might be needing for this recipe is something like a non-stick frying pan. This is to fry your sliced onions. That's to boil your rice. This is to strain your rice. And this is finally what you actually require for a Kachi Gosht ki Biryani. You need one high flame like this. This is a single flame, and then you need a tawa, a very thick bottom tawa. This is a dish in which you probably will be making the biryani. So that could be brass or thick bottom pan is a must. And then a lid to make sure the steam doesn't escape. So you're going to seal it with the atta or the maida dough. The 3 stages here to cook this biryani. First is to marinate the mutton here. That will take proper 3 to 4 hours. And because we're going to start this biryani unlike any other biryani where you pre-cook the meat, here the mutton is just going to be marinated and it's not going to be pre-cooked. Second stage is of course to boil the rice. And the third stage is when you put it together and then put it on a thick tawa, and that's called the dum. So the first stage, before we get there, we will need some fried onions to be added on to our marinade. So we're going to get the fried onions going, and then we'll get the marinade going as well. Doesn't really matter at this stage how much of oil you're going to use because you're going to strain off the excess oil here. But you do need golden fried onions. Just when the oil just started to steam, the onions are ready to go in. We can leave this sliced onions on a slow flame to get it brown, evenly golden brown. And while we'll start off with the marinade. Arjun is going to be mixing up the mutton here. The first thing he wants to put in here is like the chili powder, then the coriander powder, turmeric powder, salt to season, the yogurt, ginger garlic paste, this just adds into the flavor, so the ghee is optional, and the refined oil. The lemon juice is going on now, the mint leaves, and the coriander leaves, which is chopped. So after a good mix, and just do check for the seasoning, and it can stay marinated for almost the next 3 hours. This is the stage you really want to take it off because it's nice and golden brown. Make sure it doesn't burn because that's going to give you the biryani bitter taste. That can go on to the strainer like this, a colander. We will need some of it to garnish the dish when it's finally finished. So I'm just going to take a spoonful, and the rest can go into the marinade. To continue with this Kachi Gosht ka Biryani, we got here, you could either have atta or maida. So here we got atta here. This is just to get the dum and get a dough. So you can add it and just make a dough out of this. We got the water boiling here for the rice, and the pot is ready to get the marinated mutton, and the rice goes on top. And you need to get a perfectly sized lid for this so that it fits in just perfect, so that there's none of the steam's going to escape. So we're going to seal this right from here. We are here at the final stages here. We got the water boiling. We got the pot ready in which the rice from here and this chicken which has been marinating for 3 hours, that's going to go in. This rice here is ready to go in boil. Some mint leaves, javitri, cloves, cardamom, just a few cinnamon sticks, bay leaves, coriander, salt, little bit of ghee to enhance the flavors, and a bit of refined oil, and a good stir. Just make sure the rice doesn't settle at the bottom. The stage that you take the rice out to put it into the mutton here, as you could see that it's just not smashing here, so it's just half done. So it's been boiling for almost 5 to 7 minutes maximum, and all the flavors are all in there. Now this needs to be strained and then put into the mutton here. Also to make sure that there's enough moisture for the rice to soak and to cook and finish along with the mutton, and also to make sure the mutton at the bottom doesn't get burnt, you do need some moisture. So that's what we're adding in, some more moisture onto it, and the rest of the cooking of the rice is going to be along with the mutton. So that's where the Kachi Gosht ki Biryani gets its flavor from. Top it up with a bit of ghee, and that's the kesar powder to get the color. After we put everything on now he's going to put the dough around it. Got Arjun putting the dough just to seal it. We really don't want the steam to escape, so this has to be really quick. Just make sure it's sealed nicely. If at all you see any holes around, you can always put in some more dough on top of the lid. Once we've finished with the sealing here, just to make sure nothing's hanging out, and this is ready to go on the tawa, which is why it's a must to have a nice thick bottom tawa so that it doesn't burn. And remember, the mutton is still raw, so this has to go on top of this on a high flame. And then you throw in the charcoal, live charcoal. The biryani has been in dum for almost exactly 25 minutes at the moment. You could just feel the dough here. And also the most important thing here is to make sure none of the steam escapes. So it's still beautifully sealed, as you can see, and the dough is cooked. At this point, you could just break off. You got to do this very carefully, otherwise you might end up having the steam on you. So you could just break off and you could just tilt the lid and you could see the steam coming out. Very carefully, making sure that the coal doesn't fall in here. Here the rice is nice and beautifully cooked. The ratio of the rice and the moistness is amazing, and you could see that the grains are all like, some of them are gone really red, and the white ones, and with the spiced ones. Stir it gently to get the mutton to get on the top and mix it all with the rice. And at this point, I'm sure you'll get it right if you follow the recipe. And you have to check the tenderness of the lamb. It is cooked and it is soft and tender. And if at all at this stage you see that the lamb is a bit undercooked, you could get the lid back on and leave it on for another 10 minutes without getting the flame on, which doesn't trap any more steam, and we don't really want a prolonged cooking on this. And it also mixes up the rice along with the mutton. When you actually get it right, that's when you could see the grains just fall apart and it's not mashed in. At the same time, something like mutton, which is such a tough meat, gets so softened, and you just got the recipe right. To garnish it, we need some fried onions, and some chopped coriander and mint. Goes in beautifully to add in the flavors to the biryani. And we just got the Kachi biryani just perfectly, and it's ready to be served.